Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Richmond Common Council, June the 16th. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the prayer? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, thank you so much for this day, and thank you for each and every person who's here. I pray, dear God, for our country, for our city, for each individual that's represented here. I pray, dear God, for peace, for wisdom, for consideration for one another. And I pray, dear God, that the unrest that's in our nation, I pray, dear God, let it be said of us that we sought to be peacemakers, to sow in peace, to reap a harvest of righteousness. I pray, dear God, that the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart would be acceptable and pleasing to you. And I pray, dear God, that we would walk in wisdom for what is best for everyone and be considerate of each one another. We love you, Lord, and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Mrs. Bumbaloo.
You're welcome.
Would the clerk please call the roll?
Present.
Here.
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 Here. Here.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes of our regular meeting that was held on June the 2nd, 2025. Do we have any additions or corrections?
Mr. President,
Mr. Purcell.
if there's no additions or corrections, I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and second to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. At this time, we have a presentation from the Smith Hill update. Would you please come forward?
Good evening, I'm Brian Stumpf, and with me tonight is Chris Ham with HWC Engineering, and the Finance Committee had asked us to just provide a brief update to you on the status of the Smith Hill development.
Welcome.
Thank you. So, trying to keep this simple and just have a little handout for you. So on page 2 is just kind of a brief summary of the project, and we have, as most things in life, right? There's there's always things that are shifting. We always have to adjust. On the good side, our builder conversations have gone very well. We have a variety of builders that are interested in the community. One of the issues we have is just trying to get them to sign up to commit to a pace that is what is in the Baker-Tilly analysis, which was used for the IFA bond. So those are the ongoing discussions we're having there. And speaking of the IFA bond, that process is moving forward, and we may be able to close as early as July on that process. That's a key element of the funding that is happening for the project. On the headwinds, it's been a few since we came through the zoning process. So one of the things is the unknown status of the READY funding. We do not have a formal commitment letter yet for READY. So the IFA was the city's match for the READY funding. We don't know. We're thinking that that process was sort of put on hold earlier this year. It's moving forward again, and we're expecting 30 to 60 plus days that we might be able to hear something about the approval of that READY funding for the project. Another big impact is the Senate Enrolled Act. One, that's changing property taxes. That is having impact on communities across the state. The direct impact to this project is we're looking at probably a 10 to 25% reduction in the residential revenue that comes back to pay that IFA bond. So one of those things that we need to be wary of and that we're trying to address. The other aspect of this is that IFA bond, the city's done a great job working with the state for that match. The city is doing everything in its power to use the bond only and not have to come out of pocket for anything, which is great. But what's happening as part of that is that as the iterations come through of the bond and being able to address the interest carry and so forth for that bond, what we're responsible for and on the hook for is continue to increase. So where the earlier runs were showing us looking at having to service about $457 million a year for bond payments, we're now up to over $675,000 a year in bond payments. So as a developer, one of those things, that's fine, but we just need to make sure that we get the housing in place to make sure that that's going to be successful. This is one of those situations where, obviously, the sooner we get the homes built and be able to start collecting that tax revenue, that's going to provide that revenue source to repay that bond. So all these things are changing or sort of shifting between the timing of the financing and the bond obligation for our part going up and up. It just makes it to where this project has to operate perfectly. And it's always nice to have a little wiggle room and not just be in a situation where it has to be perfect. To that end, I'll point you on to page 3. This is a sheet you saw during the approval process from the Tracy Cross study. And it's looking at the market absorption, and for City of Richmond, they're looking at about 295 units a year of absorption. And one of the things that we're looking at is that you can see the breakdown here, 95 of those would be from for sale, and you're looking at over 2/3 of that demand coming in from rental. One of the things that we are looking at is we have, in talking with builders, we actually have an interest to have senior housing in the project. And we're in negotiations with a builder for approximately 100-unit senior housing element to the project. So that's one of the things that we were looking for. And that would be a rental component, which would be helpful because it provides that additional revenue that will help with that, meet that revenue obligation for the bond repayments.
Need to stop you right there.
Yeah.
You have listed down here rental housing, and you glossed over that real quick. There are no rental properties, rental housing in this subdivision.
That's what we're looking at doing, having a potential for a mix of the two. And that's
Well,
what's
there are none because your application asked for owner-occupied only, and that's how this was passed. All the homes in the neighborhood will be for sale homes, no rental properties.
Yeah, that was our.
And also, no low-income housing, which you have also listed here.
Right, we will have no low-income housing.
Right.
But we're looking.
You have it listed here.
This is a market study.
This,
Mr. President,
I'm sorry, this is a page from the market study. This isn't what we're proposing.
This is the market study.
Okay, so you have no rental properties at all, and that's.
No, that's one of the things we're looking at. In order to make this project successful and to meet the market demand, we see that there's a market demand
Yeah.
for some rental, and we're having interest from a builder to do a senior housing component to the neighborhood.
But you can't do that the way that this has been passed.
Our commitment on the way this was passed was to not have any affordable housing or things of that nature. This would be market rate rental senior housing.
No.
So,
We've reviewed the tapes, and when we asked you would there be any rental properties in there, you specifically said no.
yeah. Well, then that will be something we'll have to, in order to make this, we believe that in order to make this project work with the things that have changed, that it would be beneficial to have rental in this community as part of, to diversify the tax base and to meet needs that are within the.
I believe you have to start all over from scratch then.
Well, I think he can amend his plan, and it'd have to come through us again, through the plan commission, so on, but that, there is a process. You don't have to start
Mr.
over.
President, if I may, wasn't it the apartments that were concerned, that we didn't want rental apartments, and we flipped those to townhomes?
No, it was no rental
He's
property
talking about
whatsoever.
homes, right? Cottage homes
Yeah.
that are rental?
Yes, and that's what you'll see in here,
Yeah.
some of the attachments
Let's get
back.
to the end of this and see what he's.
Yeah.
No, he was asked, and I have the tape right here. He was asked on several occasions, myself, and the doctor also asked, will there ever be any rentals? Are you going to put up rentals, or will these be owner occupied? And you said there will be no rentals, they will be owner occupied.
Our goal is, correct, and that was our goal, is to have this to be owner-occupied housing. With the changes that have happened, we believe that it's important to look at having a senior housing component to this.
Not the way this is going.
I think it's worth, obviously, happy to carry this conversation on further, but a plain text reading of the PUD ordinance, as well as your underlying zoning ordinance, would permit single-family rental homes inside of this project. And we're not trying to make an issue of that.
We are.
Obviously, I appreciate that. Our intention all along had been to have as much of this be for sale as possible. Obviously, market conditions are changing. Senate Bill 1 changed the nature of how homestead homes pay taxes moving forward, and we're the ones on the hook paying a taxpayer agreement on the guarantee of the debt service, which we're comfortable doing so long as we know we can have a pace and a level of revenue coming out of this project, so we're not cutting checks in perpetuity and forever with regards to the debt service on the bond. That being said, there has always been a component of this project which was listed as maintenance-free housing. Truly maintenance-free housing is impossible to do in a homestead, home-ownered project. So I think we've been clear in this, that from the very beginning of this project, there has been a maintenance-free component of this, which we were hoping to have as part of this project, as a piece of this project. And there's no way to do a truly maintenance-free project on a project.
Unfortunately, it wasn't
owner-owned.
presented that way.
Well, I think if you read the text of the PUD ordinance,
I think if you listen to the tape, you'll see we asked those specific questions.
And I think it
And
was-
you answered them by saying, no, there will not be any rentals.
and I believe.
Now, either you're right or you're wrong. You said, did you mislead us? Yes.
I don't think it was misleading. I think the issue at the time, as the mayor had mentioned, was a removal of the multifamily, which was originally part of this project, which we've done, and replaced with a townhome project at a far less density than was originally as part of this project, with the intention of then removing the multifamily rental product of this, and there is not to be or will be any multifamily rental product in this project. However, the issue of single-family rentals are part of the Tracy Cross housing study, in fact, recommended at this particular location in the Tracy Cross market study, and we think it would be inappropriate to explore the possibility. Nothing's etched in stone. We're not telling you here today that we have a builder and developer that's ready to start construction on rental homes tomorrow, but it would be inappropriate for us not to explore every opportunity to make sure that this project is successful in the long run. And that's why we're here today.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I don't recall anything about senior citizen facility being presented either during your presentations. I don't
Correct.
recall.
Now, we did identify that the maintenance-free homes, that is targeting seniors, that is typically a home type in the floor plans that would be there for seniors. And it's in those discussions to get builders lined up to do that product that we were approached about, what if we did these as senior housing rentals? And where that helps in the fact that those 100 homes would then be built faster than just at the market pace. And frankly, that's where the market has shifted. I deal with that with my own mother-in-law in how she's choosing to live. That demographic is choosing to rent that type of home rather than buy, because that way something goes wrong with the dishwasher, great, it's not their problem, the landlord comes and fixes that. It's not just the
That's all
outside.
well and good, and we all understand that. But that was not the way it was presented to the Plan Commission. I attended every meeting. It was not the way it was presented to council. I attended every meeting. And it was not presented that way. And now that you want to present it that way, it's a little late. I don't know what you're going to do. I guess you start all over and try to get it passed this way. And maybe you can. But no, I talked to you right after you gave your presentation to the governor, and I said, that's wrong, that's not the way it was presented. And you should have looked it up right then.
Well, I have looked it up.
Well, right here it says,
And I've read the PUD ordinance, and nothing in the PUD ordinance prohibits us from having single-family rental homes in this development. The underlying zoning district under which this property, on which the PUD lays on top of, does not prohibit single-family rental product on this property.
I'm sure that's
So unless
correct.
we exempted ourselves from the PUD.
Which you did.
Not within the PUD document, we did not.
describe the zoning attachment requested. a planned unit development is requested to allow the creation of mixed residential neighborhood. The community will consist of a blend of single-family detached homes on various size lots and townhomes. All the homes in the neighborhood are for sale homes. You put that in there, we didn't, and you signed it on page 5.
We'll
Well,
certainly
that-
investigate that within the
Because-
future.
Well, there's right, if you,
That's not-
right here's a copy if you want it.
No, we got
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
I guess you can go ahead and continue, but I think you got a problem.
As far as the, what's also included in here is showing the evolution of the project on page 5 through page 5, 6, and 7 is the original plan that had 398 homes. That's how it was originally proposed. And then on page 6, you can see going through the process and the changes, the apartments were removed from that northwest corner with townhomes placed in its location. We dropped over 111 units in the changes to this plan. And on page 7 is looking at the conceptual layout of what would happen with the senior housing. If that is the direction we go, we would actually get rid of these small lot cottage or courtyard villa homes that are in the community. It leads to a further reduction in the number of units, but it brings those units online faster. And units that pay a different tax rate, which is key in the financial elements of this project. So I think, bottom line is that, we're trying to provide you an update of where we stand and what's been happening with the project, and that just trying to adapt to the changing financial conditions in the community. I look forward to continuing forward with this project.
Well, page 6 is what you originally asked for, is that correct? And page 7 is what you're proposing now?
No, what we're saying is if so page 7 is what would happen if we put the senior housing in there, in the project. We'd get rid of the small, what you see on page 6, the cottage lots, the small brown lots, those would actually go away and be replaced with standard 60-foot lots that you see in the yellow for the senior housing. And these are important, just, again, for velocity's sake and so forth, to have such a large site. When you have activity in a community, it breeds more activity. So it's one of the things that, it's not just a financial element, but an important element to have, showing growth in the community activity on the site.
I would suggest you might want to get with the planning commission director and see what's going on, because the way that it was passed will not allow any of the rental properties. Any questions or comments from council?
I have a question. On the townhouses, the representation here, are there 100 units? So they're going to be doubles, quadruples? What are they going to be?
Yeah, so we've used a 4-unit building as our standard.
Okay.
So this last page on page 7.
Yes.
Is coming in, we put the drawing in the CAD up in that townhome portion, just to understand what our real yield is on that site. So I think the PUD had 110 in there, but we're looking at 100
Okay,
once we get into CAD and get everything to scale.
thank you.
Any additional questions or comments?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
can I recommend that this get assigned to a committee or committees so that we can get this on some sort of track?
That'll be fine. I'll pick 4 people for the committee then. You can be one of them.
Dang it.
Thank you.
You asked for it,
You asked?
Mr. President.
Put gosh on it, he's not here.
Mr. President,
Yes,
may I speak?
certainly.
Specifically, this was turned down by this council initially because of the rental, the apartment buildings.
Apartments, yes.
And that was something that was compromised in order to please everyone involved. I think this is an important project, but I do think that this brings about some questions by adding rental properties back into it. I think it's something that Mr. Burkhart has properly put a committee together or is going to, and that we can all sit down and try to work through this in a way that will get us the people that live out there and have the investment out there now and what Richmond needs for further development. So I think that we just need to all sit down and talk at this point, because it is definitely in conflict with what we agreed to as a
Yep.
council and our compromise.
Mr. President,
Yes.
we have a plan commission. It exists for the very purpose of reviewing matters of this nature and making recommendations to council on how to move forward. And in my opinion, we need to talk to our attorney with respect to, within the structure of our plan commission and our current zoning ordinances, UDO, how would we amend this plan? Is it necessary to amend this plan? How would we do it if it is necessary? And I don't think it makes sense to just have 4 people talking about it. I think we need to go at it in a manner that will yield results.
I agree, but the thing of it is, if those 4 people want to go to the planning commission and through our planning department, we could do it that way.
Sure.
If they want to have some input.
Yep.
But it does have to go back through as it is right now, it can't be done. It has to go back through planning, which then has to come back through council. Because the way it is right now, it can't be done with any rental properties. I know you think it can, but I'm pretty sure it can't.
Well, I mean, the good news, ultimately, I think we're all on the same page of wanting to have a successful project. So this is
Right.
where I look forward to working with you.
You were granted the fact that you could put those properties up there as long as there weren't any rental properties.
No, the focus was on the apartment, so I understand. I understand the concern.
And, you know,
Confusion.
it seems like you're the one that's making the changes, not us. Thank you. Communications from the mayor.
Hey, Mr. President, the laptop will not project today, so I'll just have to read this. You may or may not have noticed that the construction trailer is on site at the former Elder Berman site, 6 Main, and RP&L is getting electricity hooked up to it. Construction on the footers, foundation, all that is planned to start on June 24th, so that project's moving forward. And then Project Phoenix, expect the name to change, the AP development. They closed on the last 2 properties on Friday, the former BMO Harris Bank and Jenkins building, so now all 5 properties are back in control of Indiana developers, which is a good thing. We were going to have a presentation on branding tonight, but something happened with our consultants, and they weren't able to travel today, so we're going to reschedule that for our next council meeting. And then one reminder that this Thursday, Juneteenth Day, is a government holiday, so all the government buildings will be closed to the public this Thursday for Juneteenth. That's about all I have.
Thank you. Any questions of the mayor? Comments? Thank you. Report of the Board of Public Works and Safety. The minutes of May the 22nd and the 29th were included in our packets. Do we have any comments regarding those meetings? Under miscellaneous business, do we have any comments? Ordinances on first reading, please. Gary's getting ready to.
I am. Mr. President, I move
Thank you, Larry.
that we amend, no, we're not amending.
Read by title only.
We're going to read ordinance 12, 32, and 33, 25 by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read ordinance 12, 2025, 32, and 33 by title only. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Ordinance number 12, 2025, a general ordinance amending section 32.99 of the Richmond City Code.
Yes.
Yes, please.
For years, or since we've had a city code, I think that any time a board or commission has minutes that need to be filed, they brought it to the clerk's office, we've had them on paper, we put them in books and put them in a vault. Well, since we've had Laserfish, that process has changed somewhat. So they don't bring them to us anymore. They're supposed to be.
They can't hear you.
Filing
They
They
can't
have
hear
to
you.
go up front.
Oh, there it's greener.
Greener.
Please start over.
Start over.
Okay, for years, forever, people on boards and commissions have brought their minutes to the clerk's office to be put into a folder and put into file cabinets in the vault to save forever. And we have them forever. But in the last several years, since we've had Laserfish, it's a better document management program. And so people have been putting them on Laserfish or bringing them to us and asking them to do it, but we don't have really a lot of time. So what we're asking is that we amend this section of the code that says that it'll be the duty of the secretary of all boards and commissions to make sure that they're archived in the proper manner. And also with the new law coming out on July 1st, it might tie in with that as far as what we have, our responsibility for archiving and making things available to the public. And that's really all this is about. Doesn't have to be Laserfish, it could be another document management program, because I think they're looking at other programs just in case. That's all.
Any comments or questions from council?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I've looked at this, and I guess I have a concern about making agendas and things like that available to the public. Also, minutes from meetings. It's just never clear to me. Sometimes people complain to me that they cannot find minutes, they're not aware of agendas. And I think the language in there said the agendas are approved after the meeting, and that doesn't make any sense at all. So I guess
I mean, in the code it says that now? I don't
Yeah.
remember that saying that, but
I really have some concerns about that. I think it's really important that we make this information available to the public so that
it is now on the city's website. All agendas and minutes are available.
It is at times. There are times when it is not, because people have complained to me about it.
5 days.
I've looked and not been
What
able.
this- Kim, you're familiar with this.
Here, 5 days after they
What's
want to know.
what's your question?
Well,
Right.
the minutes and agendas that are not in a timely manner, just makes sure that they are, doesn't it? And if they're not, I think there's a section here that they can,
The language says the agendas are to be approved 5 days after the meeting. That doesn't make any sense at all.
I'd have to take a look at that part, but as far as the Indiana Access to Public Records Act, in tandem with that and the upcoming July 1st deadline, those agendas would have to be available, and
Right.
the minutes
Prior
can't
to
be.
prior to the meeting,
They would
correct?
have to be available now. Again, our agendas, if we use an agenda, it should be posted on the door anyway. But you're right, in tandem with that July 1st deadline, yes, those agendas, they're not approved. And agendas are a tool, but they would not be approved after the fact. They would have to be up online somewhere as the tool
Right.
prior to the meeting.
That's my hope, that
well, and I think they,
people- that the
well, I know
public
what
would
we
be
put on there for
available,
Board of
or
Works and Common
public
Council are on
would
there.
not only be aware of meetings, but what's happening at
And
the,
then we also have a schedule of all the public meetings on our website.
right.
So
Again, I think we need to
we can
try to do as much
reword
as
that
we
little
can.
paragraph. That's not a biggie.
Yeah, I think we should do as much as we can.
Well, this is going to be referred to a committee anyway. So,
I guess I'm not going to get that.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
so we can talk about it, okay? And that's what I want, is for
Yeah.
us to come up with something that's good.
Yeah. That's my only concern about taking out all the language in this ordinance is,
Right.
or in the city code. Seems like we're stripping away some of our efforts to inform the public about what's happening in city government. That's my concern.
I know.
Does that satisfy your question or not?
We're working on it.
I wouldn't suggest passing this thing.
No.
Oh, no, it's not. It's gonna be
Mr.
referred.
President,
Yes, Mr.
I would
Purcell.
suggest we put an ad hoc committee together and review this and make any corrections necessary and bring it back.
I agree with you, and Mr. Engel said he'd be glad to chair that committee.
Again,
And he will pick three other
Bill.
council members and let you know when they're going to meet.
There you
That's a good
go.
idea.
Thank you.
That's the way
Ordinance
to get
number
things
32.
done.
Ordinance number 32, 2025. Can you hear me?
Bill?
An appropriation ordinance amending the 2025 budget.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
the Finance Committee met this evening. We spoke and heard from Tracy, and we recommend approval on 32, 2025.
Thank you very much.
We hear about it.
Yes, sir. Go ahead and
Yeah.
explain it to us.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. The Richmond Fire Pension Board is requesting an additional $12,000 to be appropriated to account ending in 3110 to cover pre-employment physicals. These physicals are performed by Public Safety Medical in Indianapolis. Unforeseen events occurred in 2025 that created a need for additional funding. The main event involves a change in the baseline application requirements determined by the Indiana Public Retirement System Medical Board. These requirements determine what medical tests are performed for applicants entering the 1977 Police Officers and Firefighters Pension and Disability Fund. The state mandates 3 additional tests to be conducted: a treadmill stress test, cervical, lumbar, and thoracic x-rays, and a movement screening. Consequently, this increased the price per applicant from $1,694.36 to $2,300.76. Our original budget allowed for 14 physicals, albeit we can only afford 10 with the new pricing model. After conferring with Chief Kinder, the fire department is currently down 14 members. This includes a scheduled retirement in August. We have 5 applicants who have already completed their physicals and will be starting in the near future. This leaves 9 vacancies to fill for the remainder of the year. And the remainder of our current budget, $11,582.32, after paying for 7 physicals to date, can support 5 more physicals. An additional $12,000 will allow for another 5 physicals to be performed in 2025. It is expected that not all applicants who are sent for a physical will return with a passing recommendation, so this ordinance will allow for 1 additional physical should any applicant fail.
Thank you. Questions from council? Concerns?
Mr. President, I would move to place ordinance 32, 2025 on second reading.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to place ordinance 32, 2025 to second reading, read by title only. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Ordinance number 32, 2025, an appropriation ordinance amending the 2025 budget.
Ordinance number 32, 2025 is on second reading, which is public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in opposition of this ordinance? What is council's pleasure?
Move for engrossment.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to engross. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Call the question.
Second.
Please call the question.
Lucinda Wright,
Aye.
Bill Engel,
Aye.
Ann Taylor,
Aye.
Gary Turner.
Aye.
Jane Bumbalough.
Aye.
Justin Burkhart.
Aye.
Jerry Purcell.
Aye.
And Larry Parker.
Aye.
8 are in favor.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Ordinance number 33, 2025, an appropriation ordinance amending the 2025 budget.
Good evening, Council. Tracy McGinnis, City Controller. Ordinance number 33, 2025 is a formal request to appropriate funds from the general fund where the proceeds from the sale of the Berryfield Park were deposited. We want to move those into the park fund in the amount of $23,000, and the plan is to restore the docks at Middle Fork Reservoir.
Questions from council?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
Finance Committee heard this evening, ordinance 33, 2025. I also spoke with Denise, and we recommend approval.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Purcell?
yes, I have a question for Tracy. Yes, Tracy, was restoring the docks in the budget for this year?
No, not that I'm aware of, but I would have to check and verify that because I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I move to advance ordinance 33, 2025 to second reading, read by title only.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and advance ordinance 33, 2025 to second reading, read by title only. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Ordinance number 33, 2025, an appropriation ordinance amending the 2025 budget.
Ordinance number 33, 2025 is on second reading, which is public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak in opposition? What is council's pleasure?
Move for engrossment.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to engross. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Call the question.
Second.
Please call the question.
Lucinda Wright.
Aye.
Bill Engel.
Aye.
Ann Taylor.
Aye.
Gary Turner.
Aye.
Jane Bumblew.
Aye.
Justin Burkhart.
Aye.
Jerry Purcell.
Aye.
And Larry Parker. 8 are in favor.
Motion carried. Thank you very much. We have no ordinances on second reading. Do we have any unfinished business?
Mr. President?
Mr. Purcell?
Yes. As everyone on the council knows, we're getting ready to go into budget time. And I would recommend that this administration look seriously at this budget. You know, we're talking about rebranding the city. Let's look at fixing the city, and let's look at resizing, et cetera, because the tax that we're going to bringing in is a reality. And we keep complaining about the tax income versus the expenses. And I think it's time that we look at and make sure that we size the city to our tax income. And I think that should be a priority this year as a member of the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Those meetings, I believe, begin on July the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, if necessary, and all council members are invited to attend each and every session. Any other unfinished business to come before council?
Move for adjournment.
Second.
Or something.
We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Good.
You are watching Whitewater Government Television, WGTV, Channel 11, part of the Whitewater Community